What's the secret to building a $100 million brand? Well, MaryRuth Ghiyam has done exactly that. So she knows the answer pretty well. And it turns out it's pretty simple. 1, make something people need. 2, build the company in a sustainable way. And 3, and most of all, be patient. Easier said than done, right? Well, thankfully, MaryRuth broke down exactly what that entails on today's episode. I'm your host, Stephanie Postles, CEO of Mission.org, and you're listening to Up Next in Commerce, the #1 show for all things e-commerce, where we get to hear from the best founders, CEOs, and digital leaders today. All right, let's dive into it. Before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our partners, Salesforce Commerce Cloud. They not only help make this podcast possible, but they are the #1 commerce platform. So go check them out at salesforce.com/commerce. MaryRuth, welcome to the show. We don't have a lot of time and I'm very excited to have you on. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I didn't tell you this yet, but I am a big fan. When I saw you coming up in our guest lineup, I was super stoked because I have 4 kids in our house, 2 twin boys, a 4-year-old boy, and they all actually use your vitamins. And I just found out about them in the past year. And so that's essentially their morning routine, is going through all the vitamins that you have for kids. And then it soon got integrated into my life. So I just wanted to put that out there to start, just so you know who you're talking to, a very large fan.
Thank you so much. It's also so sweet that you mentioned the word routine. I've been on a lot of podcasts and I've never heard somebody start off with one of my favorite words, which is routine. So
yeah, I'm all about it. I'm very maniacal about my routine and making sure the kids get what they need. And I mean, you know this as a mom, seeing sickness circling in your house with your kids and being like, there has to be a better way. What are you missing? Like, I will fix this, which I know you're very well aware of. So I would love to start with, how you started the company, because from the headlines, of course, you see, you were $700,000 in debt, and now, you've built up this $100 million company. You have all these amazing products, and I want to kind of hear a bit about the origin story of why did you want to start this company, and maybe teasing out some pieces that you haven't really talked about of drivers to starting this company.
Also, what I love that I have not spoken about on any podcast before is this idea of direct to consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really perfect because, again, I don't think I've gotten to share this statement. If it wasn't for things like e-commerce, Amazon, direct to consumer, I would have never been able to launch this product line or build this brand. So I also have a very special place in my heart, and I know that this is a big D2C podcast for this idea of direct to consumer, and it really allows you to have free will. If I had just been trying to enter the CPG VMS space with the only door, which I don't know how many years ago, but it used to be really you could only sell your products in retail on shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to just empower anyone who's listening that we're so lucky that it's 2022 and that we can use things like our laptop to make a website, to bring products direct to consumer. And I think that in itself should, if anyone's listening and feeling like, oh my goodness, how will I ever grow this? Should I keep going? Should I stop? Should I try something else? I just feel like this is the greatest age we've seen for free will and sharing with people and helping people with direct to consumer, which is so exciting.
Yeah. So when thinking through, I talked to a lot of D2C founders. When thinking about this new revelation and, way of selling, when I think back to how you started, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you were treating kind of your patients who were coming in and they were looking for a healthier lifestyle. And you were like, you wanted to get them vitamins that would assist them in this new lifestyle change, which was not really eating before, I think, noon, and putting the eating time window together. And so you were like, well, you can't have vitamins like that on an empty stomach. It usually jacks up our stomachs. And so you created your own product. And I want to kind of hear what you think about founders now who maybe don't have that market research. To me, you were very well versed in the space. You saw the product need was already there. You had product market fit. And what do you think about founders maybe who don't go through some of those hoops, I guess, to make sure, like, is this something the market wants? Because I see a big craze right now in D2C, so many products, and some of them I'm like, are these needed?
So my answer is pretty simple, but it's one that I think I stand by wholeheartedly, is this idea of reverse engineering what you want to do with your life. So before we even get to this idea of like, okay, like which product, if someone's thinking like, which product should I make?
Yep.
Or do I have enough consumer research? Will this product do well? I think truly it's all about self-awareness and then reverse engineering this process. So, and then I can kind of jump in a little and share about exactly how I did that process as well, for parallel comparison. But I think first and foremost, probably everyone listening, or the majority of people listening, would agree, probably you as well, Stephanie, with a robust career of a financial background and building your own company. And clearly, I mean, just even looking at you right now, I can tell that this is absolutely your passion. I watched a few YouTube video clips yesterday.
It's my vitamins, my MaryRuth vitamins that make me glowing.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sure you're going to agree with some of this as well. So after I share, I would love to hear your feedback. Okay. So first thing is just self-awareness. So I think if we're looking at life is very long and very short all at the same time. And I think the goal is that people want to have a good amount of daily happiness and daily joy in their 24 hours of life, every single day, cumulatively, like on a compound effect of over the course of an entire year. Hopefully at the end, you have like more happiness, more joy, than you did the year before. Yeah. So first, just everyone listening, like what makes you happy? What would make you happy? What would be the ideal way to grow and scale a business? And then knowing what your gifts are. So if you've put in the work of creating self-awareness, what makes you happy, then usually every single person I've talked to, and I talked to so many people. I even helped, this was before COVID, but there was an amazing young guy who used to give me manicures, and he was in film school. And I literally asked this question to everyone. And I said, like, what's you're helping me, you're doing my manicure. By the way, I do my nails almost by myself all the time. This just happens to be a random example. But before COVID, he was often giving me manicures. And I said, like, you went to film school. Like, what are you good at? Like, what's your passion? He's like, tech, everything tech. And I ended up helping him just for free launch iPhone cases on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And they did really, really well. And that was just like one step in the right direction to being in alignment with like self-awareness. What makes me happy? What do I really want to be doing? What are my passions? Usually everyone has a gift, whether they're going to make a product or give back something in their community or do a project. I think the answer always unfolds in front of the person, because not everyone wants to make a product and sell on e-commerce, but some people do want to do a impactful project. We're going to be B Corp certified sometime this year. We're going through that certification process. So you really start to see that if people can hone a product that is meaningful to them, I do not believe that they need market research. And I will share how we didn't really do market research until maybe this year. And our company's been around for 8 years. And I think it was more that my gut knew, like, if I love this product, if other people need this product, there will be people just like us who want to receive that. And so not never, I don't like to say absolutes, but it's best for people not, in my opinion, for sustainability, because growing a business is a tremendous amount of love. It's like having a child. Yep. For the long-term sustainable, I think it's best not to say, I will do X to make X amount of money, mm-hmm. unless it's, I will do X to make money so then I can fund what is my real passion project. Yeah. And so what we did with the liquid morning raspberry multivitamin was what you mentioned. Like, I had private practice on 47th and 3rd in New York City. And we were teaching liquids to lunch, and everyone would say, I love liquids to lunch, but I don't like capsules.
Mhm.
I can't take my vitamins in the morning anymore. And at the time, I was in a tremendous amount of debt. And so for 6 months, my husband and I, we called around to see if there was a manufacturer who would make just 90 bottles of a custom blend multivitamin.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, or even today, I mean, to convince a manufacturer to do custom blend a run of 90 bottles is
Yeah. Pretty
also
epic.
unheard of. It's pretty, like I literally remember just sharing, I know we're your smallest account, but someday we'll be your biggest. And eventually for that particular manufacturer, we were their biggest account, but it was more that this woman believed in me.
Yeah.
That she did that blend and shipped those 90 bottles to my apartment in New York City. And I sold them in my office.
Yep.
And we put a few on Amazon, like 20 bottles on Amazon. And we, without me asking anyone, my private clients ended up reviewing that 5 stars on Amazon. And this was before Amazon was popular. And it went to the first page because it had no tomatoes. A lot of the liquid vitamins on the markets had tomatoes. This just tasted like raspberries. There was
Tastes
no
good.
sugar. Yeah, it tastes
Yeah.
good for a vitamin. And I remember just crying like the first day. Not first day, the first week on a Saturday. I realized that we had made like something like $250, and I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, like, this is so impactful because the idea came from taking care of people, taking care of my clients. The idea kind of came from them. And then I saw a path to getting out of debt, but also getting to like live my life and run our practice and help people with nutrition and wellness. And I really saw that there was just like a path forward.
Yeah. Why were you in so much debt? I couldn't find that out. I kept seeing a 700,000 in debt, and I was like, how does one get in 700,000 of debt? I've been
Yeah.
in 500,000 of debt before, and that was intense for me, but I'm like, 700, what happened?
No, it's a really great question. And I think that I think that people listening can relate to this maybe on a smaller numerical value. But it was like the perfect storm of my my dad and my brother had passed away just suddenly, like a couple years before. And then my mom had taken over my dad's business, which was a lumber yard called Warren Lumber.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were 6 locations and 300 employees, and it was going really, really well. So for the majority of just like my early years, teenage years, we always had what we would call, financial freedom or financial stability.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lehman Brothers crashed and the housing market crashed. And so no one was really buying lumber to build any new houses. And it was kind of just like the perfect storm of all these things where it was great for me to witness, like how if you are building a business model, and it's important to remember, like 6 months, let's say the business is not making any money.
Yep.
Could the business survive?
Yep.
So that was me witnessing what not to do, which was that business model only worked if everything was going right. And so we're still, my mom, like so many of those employees still like follow us and on Facebook and write to us about them and take our vitamins. And so really my mom and I, there was just a disconnect where we just kept spending credit cards, and it just got to a point where it was all credit card debt or money we owed friends and family that we did eventually pay back with 8 or 9% interest. Mm-hmm. But it took me 7 years to get out of that debt. And that is why I think, no, not why I think, but I know for sure that MaryRuth Organics business model is really financially healthy. And at our company, we have a lot of dialogue in our all staff meetings around like individual financial freedom and empowerment equals mental health and happiness and stability. And then we share with our whole team, like, this is the revenue, this is the EBITDA, this is what this means. Like, we just had a financial town hall where anyone on our team who wanted to learn more about what does it mean to have working capital, like how our businesses grown and run, we encouraged everyone to come, and we talk a lot about, okay, here's our revenue for the month of March, and here's our EBITDA, here's the profit. And we have a long-term incentive plan for all employees, international and domestic. So we say, okay, if we hit the budget this year, we're going to add more money to the long-term incentive plan. So collectively, everyone can kind of be hopefully learning and inspiring individually, so they're not in individual debt. And then also appreciating what it means to have a financially stable company. And I wanted to say that our whole tagline for our whole team is kind of meaning revenue and profit equals free will. So I think all founders start out with like wanting to make a social impact or environmental impact, and they have goals and dreams, and they want to add value to people's lives. And then along the way, and it's so painful along the way, maybe you took an investment early on, and then you thought, oh, we have so much marketing money, and it's a false sense of that money. And then maybe that money was not spent right. So then you start seeing like series rounds A, B, C funding. And then all of a sudden, maybe the company is just financially unstable and not profitable. And so unfortunately, what happens, and it's so painful, is that founders might feel like, or executives feel like their back is up against a wall, and they can't really give back to their employees, give back to their customers. And so really one of the best things that we did most recently was really just get the whole team's consciousness on board. Like, we want to be one of the best companies in the world to work for, one of the best companies in the world to buy something from. And the seed level of making that social environmental impact is truly revenue and EBITDA, because revenue and EBITDA equal free will to kind of live out your dreams. And I just wanted to share that, because for e-commerce brands, I imagine for different stages of, I went through it as well. Like, you think like maybe you should be growing faster, like maybe you should take a risk and double down. And I really think if there's one takeaway for everyone is like patience. Everyone overestimates what they can do in 1 year and underestimates what they can do in 10. Yep. So like if you're super patient and you don't spend even $1 more than you have, you're going to start to build something that your company is the cause and not the effect of all the things that no one loves about business. And I hope that people will feel patience. It's like patience, but like always moving the company forward a little bit every day with micro actions. Yep. I think then you have all the free will to do what will make you happy, as well as your team.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So much to unpack there. And also I agree on all of that. I mean, I think, yeah, sometimes the risk with raising money up front is that you don't learn how to actually build a business with sound, like financial principles in it, and the money doesn't really feel like yours. And right now I'm seeing definitely many e-commerce companies kind of running away and spending more than they're even, making. And those bets to me definitely feel a little short-sighted. But in the aspect of debt, I don't know what you feel about it, but I feel like, not that I would recommend anyone ever getting in it, of course. Like, however, if you somehow end up in $500,000 or $700,000 of debt, I feel like the lessons that you learn and the way that your mindset will shift, like, is so different, because you will do things in such a scrappy manner. You will ask for things you never would have asked for. You will literally do whatever you can to get out of it, asking for forgiveness, like whatever it might be. And I actually think, I look back on that time of my life. I was like pregnant with my twins. I was calling creditors like, can't pay this. I actually feel like that was the most powerful time, because I went in asking and or demanding for things that I never would have asked for prior to that. And then I had a whole different view on like financial stability of a business going forward, that I think if I didn't like feel that pain in the moment, I don't know if I would have that now. So like I said, not that I would recommend it, but I do think it's a very powerful experience to really be like deep in a hole and not really knowing how you'll get out.
No, and also, it's funny. I don't know if people give compliments to each other on podcasts, but I truly feel this is the first time we've ever met. Even like when you're talking and you're smiling, I could feel like that, it's like a quantum energy that you definitely went through that and are super, super strong.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm like, we're laughing now. We were not laughing back then, but now it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get into the weeds a bit, I mean, I look at you on Amazon. That's where I buy all your products, and I mean, you guys to me like blew up on there. You're doing something right. You've got some strategies figured out. I want to hear how you're thinking about, the platforms you're selling on and how to actually, you said you were working with that one guy who, you got the iPhone covers on there. Like, how did you have something like that take off, especially when it was like a one product, no company built around it, which I know you were there too with the multivitamins in the beginning, but like, how would you have someone start today on Amazon?
So this is such an awesome question. Yesterday we had, just for the record, so obviously we have so many departments at our company, and we actually did like a score rating of every department. And how they function within our own company. We have over 120 employees. And also a quick side note, the first 4 years, we did not have any employees. That's one of the reasons that we were profitable from day one. We were doing 4 years in over 10 million in revenue and profitable, and we still didn't hire even one employee.
Wow.
My husband still was making the labels at the time just to save on like graphic design. So even just to really show that there's 2 other amazing brands that everyone has heard of here. I promise. Think like a very popular protein powder at Whole Foods, and think of one of the biggest collagen brands. Okay. Yep. So I had dinner with 2 of those founders. We all told our founder story. One of the brands had been around for 12 years. One of them had been around also like me for 8 years. One common factor in that success story was that all 3 of us did not hire employees for the first 4 years. So just something to think about. Don't want to get too off your question. But again, so we just did yesterday with our vice president of operations. She brought me a Google Sheet little presentation that showed all the departments in our company, and that our Amazon marketplace department was, in terms of processes and systems, functioning at 96%. And just to give you an example of every other department at our company.
I was gonna say, what's the worst one?
Yeah, one of them was functioning at 33%. In terms of just like everything we're doing is manual, and not sustainable. And so the other departments were in efficiency, processes, systems. We're functioning at like 60 to 70%. So just want to share here for all the e-commerce lovers that from day one, I mean, 8 years in, the best department we have in terms of structure, giving, functions, 96% is crazy. If all the other departments are somewhere between, 30 and 70%. Wow. And that really should empower people to feel like now we have like a proper financial org chart and all these like proper build outs, but the power, especially with a lot of like the Apple updates and stuff, like just really, we try to keep Amazon running in a very efficient manner. Also, Amazon is so great for capturing new lead generation. So one of the things is that we did have that lucky intersection of 2014 on Amazon. I remember sitting on an airplane with my husband and somebody was like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "We sell vitamins on Amazon." And then my husband elbowed me and said, "Shh, don't say that. It sounds bad. People sell furniture on Amazon. Like, shh, say you have a health and wellness company." Now you tell people you sell on Amazon, people are like, "How do you do it? When's the next conference?" So just to break it down for people, do not get discouraged. Like, there's a lot of rumors like, well, starting on Amazon now is different than starting back then. That is true, but that should not stop people. So you have to start somewhere. And if you have an Amazon listing that's not doing well, Amazon also offers people to help you, and you can talk to them, and you can make a relationship with them. And if your Amazon listing is not on Prime, all these like very simple things, but to look at all those ways you launch products and to calculate the ad spend. That goes back to the theme of like never spending more than $1. But what has helped us on Amazon was the idea that there's over 130 products and they're kind of all cross-marketing each other. So a lot of other vitamin companies, again, I never want to say anything bad about any companies or any products ever. I actually love a lot of different vitamin companies and certain products we don't make. I still shop at other vitamin brands. So it's not about my brand or other brands, but something that is worth thinking about is that a lot of other vitamin brands have something called like 8 hero SKUs. You know, like all the revenues coming from 8 hero SKUs, which can also be scary if something happens to one of those listings on Amazon. You know, and products go down all the time, like a bottle breaks and a customer complains and your listing is down. So we wanted to just create, again, like this healthy, let's be the cause and not the effect, right? How scary is it if you have all your revenue coming from one product on Amazon? We just wanted to create as many products as we could to give back to people. Each product has one story, which obviously won't go into on the podcast, but I mean, these are handpicked. I made liquid chlorophyll, not because it's trendy on TikTok right now. I actually made it because I was pregnant with the twins and we live in California, and my doula said, during wildfires in California, you have to make liquid chlorophyll. I was like, guys, we need to make organic liquid chlorophyll. And then by the time the product came out, it was like when it was going viral on TikTok. But like the seed level for us was always like one product, one story, multiple SKUs, as many SKUs as possible, captures new lead generation on Amazon, and really like working through any problems. So like if something happens, a listing goes down, we do everything we can. I remember when we were still in debt and one of our listings went down and we only had like 5 listings. I remember I paid like $500, you know, to just like get like therapy from a business coach, like how to deal with this idea of like building a better way to sell on Amazon. And it is so hard. It is so challenging, but there's no greater feeling than working through all the things that make it difficult and painful to sell on Amazon. Right? The rules are always changing. So we want to be you never want to be in the gray area on Amazon. You need to be straight and narrow, and not do all of kind of those gray area things. I really just wanted to share that in case anyone is listening as well.
How do you make sure that you're not in that gray area? Are you always working with a point of contact at Amazon to make sure that everything is exactly how they want it? Or is your team experimenting with like things that they're like, I don't know if the platform's algorithm will like this or not? Like, how do you make sure you're staying within the boundaries, but also experimenting?
Totally. And also Amazon's always changing the rules. So you do need to be aware of what the new guidelines are, right? Like 2014, what was acceptable for reviews is highly unacceptable now, you know, so you just always want to build for longevity and sustainability, because I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but I have heard stories that are just very scary about how brands early on would do stuff and then Amazon goes and looks for the rules that have been broken and then penalizes. So you want to be careful because it's years. You want to build your Amazon business for years. Also, I don't know what year, but we also started to do like deal of the day, which was really interesting. I think we've done deal of the day for like 2 or 3 years. Last July 2021, we spent too much marketing on deal of the day, and it was the only time the EBITDA was very bad for our business.
Lesson learned. All right.
Lesson learned. So just everybody, I remember that it was like 8 p.m. at night, and we got the finance team let us know the EBITDA for that month, and it was so different than what we do every month. And we said, whoa, what just happened? And we saw that we had spent way too much on deal of the day marketing. So you also don't want to get too excited too fast about certain things. And again, I think going slow is sustainable.
Yeah. So I didn't know. So you said you had 130 products. Is that what you said?
And 130 products.
No idea you had that many products. how do you think about developing new ones? And then have you ever killed any products off where you're like,
Yeah.
this one was like my thing at the time. Like, I mean, I know as twin mom, like you recommended all these things of you're super deficient in all the things because it's two in there. But then you're like, oh, that was just a me thing. Like, I'm not going to, apparently not many people want this. Like, what have you killed off, or how do you think about killing something off and then like birthing a new baby product?
Amazing. I love this question. This is such an awesome question. So we have, there are 4 products. 2 are still going strong, but two were kind of discontinued.
Okay.
And so 2 of the ones that are still going strong that we're just holding on to because there are so many customers that do love them are our like moisturizing baby oil and our hand scrub. They're just not,
didn't even know you had those. Okay.
We have like a vitamin hand scrub. So they're still going strong. But I think like in team meetings, we're always like, what's going on with the hand scrub? What's going on with the oil? And then the 2 products, one product we just had to discontinue because we put it in glass. Mm-hmm. So we still have the actual product. It's so popular on Amazon in the plastic version, mm-hmm. but we had to discontinue the nighttime multi-mineral and coconut flavor in a glass bottle. So
I don't think I ever had that one. I have it in the plastic one, just like the multivitamin one. I never seen it in the glass one. Okay.
Yeah. And that product was an example of when we knew the customers always asked if it could be in glass. So we tried to do it, but we know from like shipping and breaking, it's a huge bottle. It's 32 ounces. So we always knew like this product is not really ideal in this massive size. So we made it in glass. And again, it was not popular, which is interesting. And then the one product we discontinued, and by the way, for all those listening, and my husband and I love each other very much. We're born on the same day, same year.
Wow.
February 11th, 1984. We're all also like the same person. And I love you, David, but David had an idea for a product and I was not into it. And by the way, I can be open. This was actually a product made, in my professional opinion, for the wrong reason. So I'm actually so happy that we get to use this as an example for people listening, like strategizing, like what product should I make next? Or what do I want to do? Or what do I want to launch? Actually, there's 2. Actually, this is so good. We are talking about this. I forgot there was another line of products that was not successful. And no offense, it also came from my husband. So
I had a feeling.
So you're going to love this because it shows something so powerful. So number 1, we made something called keto drops. So it's just like a product. If you're on the keto diet, you take keto drops to keep your metabolism or whatever in
ketoness
check.
Going. Is keto still a thing? I don't know. I guess.
No. So that's what's so funny because that product, and now I think literally almost every other product we've made is, like I was saying, like a whole story, like the liquid chlorophyll. Like every product we built, there's a whole story, a whole genesis of like, I was buying this and then I wanted this and I wanted to do this in liquid. And David's like, we got it. Look at these listings on Amazon for keto. We have to make a keto product. See, that's like the fear of missing out. Don't do it, everyone. Yep. Please do not do it. So keto drops were discontinued. I think like six months ago. I think they were going strong for 3 years. And then the other thing that didn't work out, again, I'm not blaming David, but again, kind of like the wrong genesis was CBD oil. By the way, I think if there were not so many regulatory things and we could have sold it on our regular Shopify, I think that it would have done great because I use it. I have like a little bit of leg pain. I always topically just rub it into my leg from giving birth to the twins.
Yeah.
Feel that? And so we made a CBD line and we sold it on a different website. And again, we never like to be in the gray area. So we always follow all the rules. Yep. And we just kind of like, it just discontinued after 2 years because it expired. So again, everyone listening to this amazing episode with Stephanie, I really think it goes back to reverse engineering, like who you are, what are your gifts, what do you really want to bring to the world? Even if it's not a trend, don't jump on a trend for the wrong reason. Yeah. And I think that is interesting. And that was an awesome question no one ever asked before.
I love this. I mean, this is awesome. So, okay, thinking about trends, my last question is, to me, when you're in the vitamin space, and that is like what I'm seeing is like the trendiest space. I mean, there's all these new things that you need this and this and this, like pretty new stuff that I had never thought about. Like, the vitamin Ds. Okay, now they're adding K2, like different stuff where you're like, yeah, that seems like reasonable. And then there's things that are left field where I'm like, I've literally never heard of that before. It's kind of like the keto thing. Like, is this really something I need or not? So with that, one, how do you stay focused? Because the market does feel crazy. And then two, what are you most excited to put out in the next 6 months to a year?
Okay. So I love this question because there's kind of a special answer that, especially in the vitamin space, might be helpful to other people who are maybe even thinking of launching vitamins. I always go back to what people actually really need. Almost every person is on a budget. In the United States of America, people are on budgets. They can usually only afford one or two products. So we have to also really do what's best for people. So my number, for example, we were thinking about doing direct to consumer international. And so everyone's like, okay, what are the 15 products that we're going to bring international? And what are the 15 SKUs we need to bring to Whole Foods? And I always say it's never going to change. It's always going to be the same, which is a broad spectrum, full spectrum multivitamin. Yep. Usually people can only afford one product. If they can only afford, obviously check with your doctor, but usually I'd recommend a broad spectrum, full spectrum multivitamin. Gives you a little bit of everything that you need. And then making it in forms that are absolutely delicious so that people want to consistently take that product. So yep. We have gummies and liquids and liposomals. Liposomals are kind of like the future of vitamins. Now. Super trendy.
Can't have vitamin C unless it's liposomal.
That's right. And liposomal is this amazing technology that actually makes it so absorbable. It's like ultra absorption. So it is actually real. And for a long time, we couldn't really make liposomals. So this was a new thing we came out with this year.
I'm glad to know it's real because my partner kept saying, oh, I need to get liposomal. And I was like, liposomal is a piece of it. What vitamin do you want? It's not just liposomals. You need liposomal B or C. Anyway, I digress.
No, this is so awesome because liquid vitamins are 98% bioavailable and absorbable versus pills or capsules are 3 to 21% bioavailable and absorbable. And so
that's my big question. So is IV a trend?
Actually, IVs are real if they're being administered with high quality vitamins from a doctor. Yeah. They're definitely real and they're definitely amazing. And also, liposomal is just basically a smaller amount of vitamins that gets highly absorbed. It's so real. Even if I didn't have a liposomal line, I would say it's so real. Yeah. And also, just as a way to end the show with your last question, which was, we're very excited to make many, many products, but one of the ones that just came out that I'm so in love with is, have you heard of quercetin?
Yes.
So we made liposomal quercetin, sugar-free in pineapple orange flavor. Ooh. And it is unbelievable. I really appreciate you having us here and for everyone listening as well.
Yeah, MaryRuth, thank you so much for taking the time. This was a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
If you're looking for the #1 platform for all things commerce, there's no better choice. So definitely go check it out at salesforce.com/commerce.